Welcome, folks. Welcome back. We're still going, kicking in October. It is Wide Scream for the month of October. Guess who's back? Emily Barrios is joining us. Hello, Emily.
I'm back.
She is, right? I didn't think she was coming back, and I went to my bathroom, and I turned off the lights and looked in the mirror and said your name 3 times. And here you are, right?
Got a really big scare, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, folks. Cell phone's going off. The phone boards are lighting up.
Look at that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so anyway, you're back, and Emily is joining us for a special horror-themed Lost Treasures. My personal favorite of all the shows we do are the Lost Treasures, by the way. And doubly that it's a horror one. Now, if we could just do a Western, if I could find somebody to do a Western one, I'd be in heaven. Right.
That definitely would not be me. But
all you some bitches don't know Westerns. All right. I'll get my dad out here. We'll do it. All right. Well, Emily, you are the guest. Why don't you start? Oh, okay, just real quick, as I always explain each show, each Lost Treasures. Some of them may have been a hit way back, but have all been forgotten. You know, some of them from any decade. You know, you may have heard of them, but never seen it. Seen it, didn't realize you saw it. You know, Lost Treasures can be anything. You know, it's not going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark or anything like that, but yeah, Lost Treasures can be found anywhere. Like I said, they can be former hits. They could be never got a release, went straight to video, and should have gotten a release. Just all kinds of stuff. So that's why I love doing our Lost Treasures show. Because 90% of the movies I love and own, people are like, oh, I've never heard of that. What is that?
Exactly.
So, Emily, you go, lady.
Okay. Now, just to start off, they're in no particular order.
Okay, my turn. No, I'm just kidding. Go on. I'm saying. Go on.
My first one would have to be Amityville 2, The Possession.
Yay, Emily.
Yes, this one gets looked over so much because people just remember Amityville, the regular one. They don't really pay attention to this one. And this one I actually prefer over the original.
Me too. It's the only one of the series that I like. But go ahead. This is your moment.
Yeah, this is the only one that when I was younger scared the crap out of me. Even as an adult, if I watch it at night, I still get the EBGBs a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of spoilers because this was made back in 1982.
I was gonna say it's an oldie.
Yeah, this is like before I was even born. So
Stop
it. Yeah, so I know we're so young. But this one is, even though it's the second one, is actually a prequel. I guess you can say I think it's a prequel. It kind of shows how the family came to be and how the murders took place before the original Amityville Horror when the Lutzes came into play. So I definitely liked this one. It was very creepy. Let's see. They have one scene that really creeps me out. The mother's in the basement doing laundry. And you got this really cool point of view. And you see her and she's kind of like, you know, doing her thing, kind of feeling a little creeped out. And then you see something touching, like the wind blow. That was really cool.
That's a good scene.
Love the point of view.
Remember that, yeah.
So, let's see. Throw in some things you like about it.
I like the Burt Young, the great Burt Young, ladies and gentlemen. For all of you who don't know him by name, Paulie from the Rocky movies.
Yay!
Yeah, he's the dad, and he's abusive and lecherous at times.
Yeah.
Not as much as the brother, but hey. But no, I think he gives a really underrated performance. A little different than what he's used to doing. The lovable lug is what he usually plays. And here he's a lot different, actually. Yeah, it's a really good performance. And the mother, played by Rutanya Alda, no relation to Alan, she gave a great performance as well. And I might add, a little shout out, someone who follows this podcast and is in the podcast group. I kind of think that's the same thing. Diane Franklin plays the daughter. And yeah, she listens to our podcast. And yeah, it's highly over. If that was the only Amityville movie, I would be so happy because I don't hate the original. I don't like it. I hate the remake and I hate all the others. I stopped at 4, I think. But no, 2. It's a very good horror film. I wish they would not call it. I wish they would retitle it like something else besides Amityville 2.
Exactly.
Then it can be its own standalone, and I'd be happy with that. I would own it. And I'm a completist with certain things. Like, I'll own every John Carpenter movie, even though there's actually one I don't like much at all. I'll own every, well, no, that's not true. I was about to say Spielberg, but nah, there's too many. There's a few I don't like at all.
Nope.
But, like, for instance, I don't know. Anyway, you get my point. I'm a completist on certain things. I will never own any other of the Amityvilles, but I will own Amityville 2: The Possession. Yeah, I think it's a great movie.
Now, one thing I've noticed with this movie, there's a lot of POV shots. Back in the day, that wasn't really common. Wasn't a go-to thing, and I really liked that. It made it interesting.
Yeah, and it's only not even 4 full years after John Carpenter's Halloween, and he kind of started that craze.
Exactly.
But it was different in this one the way they did it. It was mostly the killer, the son, the Lutz kid. But I can't remember if they went by their original name. It's been so long since I've seen this film. But
yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if they call them the Lutzes or not, but George and Kathy, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm ridiculous because the Lutzes are the ones that move into the house after the fence. So, forget...
Yeah, that's true. This is the prequel. Oh, God,
yes.
I just watched this the other day and I can't remember their name.
I'm sorry, folks. I get a punch on my horror card for thinking they should be named the Lutzes when they're not even...
Now, I remember the sister was named Patricia and the son was named Sonny. But as far as the other 2 little kids, I don't remember their names.
Right. Yeah, who gives a crap? Who gives a crap? They got shotgun in the beds. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't remember the mom and dad either,
I liked the makeup on him because it wasn't like full possession makeup, but he looked creepy and weird. And the only thing I don't like about the film, I think it didn't need it, but they were trying to sell it. Which, by the way, calling yourself Amityville Part 2 probably sells it enough, because the first one the original was a huge hit.
Oh God, yeah.
But I didn't think we needed the exorcism scene. That was tired. It was a pale imitation of The Exorcist, and it seemed like it was tacked on to give him a little extra because they called it The Possession. So
yeah,
I didn't
to
like
me,
that.
the movie is good and interesting until after the murders, and after that, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, now it's kind of played out, and I can do without it, la-di-da.
Yeah,
once.
Oh, go ahead.
But no, like as far as the beginning, and up until right after the kills, it just really held my interest. It was really good.
Yeah, I agree, and you're right. Once he goes into custody, that's when you can shut it down.
Yeah, it's like
because it's a little silly there. Yeah. The priest is played by an actor who never gets much work, James Olsen. He's pretty good. He's kind of creepy in his own right. He's kind of slimy looking. No offense, James Olsen. I know you were born that way. But, no, that's a good choice, Amityville 2, and I think you and I have talked about that before in the Facebook group. It's a great choice,
so.
Yeah. Damn good movie. And probably because of the others, nobody ever bothers getting it. And I think if you're a fan of good horror movies, you really should, because it's interesting, it's well done, and it's creepy. And, yeah, great choice, Emily, great choice.
Thank you.
Coming out of the box strong there. I'm going a decade and a year back farther than you. To 1971. A movie called Twins of Evil. And it's about my most favorite of things. Occult, devil worship. But there's some vampires thrown in for good measure. Twins of Evil, 1971. It was a Hammer horror production. It was big at the time in England. It never, it played the drive-in circuit here. Never really caught on. But Peter Cushing, the great Peter Cushing, ladies and gentlemen, played the leader of a religious sect they were witch hunters, and they rode around the countryside hunting witches and devil worshipping occult, and they would, if they even thought remotely that they were, they would just grab them and hang them and burn them. One of the two there. And it's fantastic because what they were overly religious guys, probably like in real life when this stuff happened in Salem and other places. They were overly religious guys who thought if you were like sexual at all as a woman, you were possessed by the devil or in some kind of cult and you need to be burned or hanged. So, which by God, I think that's the way it should be today. Just kidding, everyone. I like sexy women. I don't think you're witches, and if you are, who cares? But no, and Peter Cushing, actually, I mean, we know he's a good actor, and we know what he does, but he probably, in my opinion, gives his best performance here, because what happens, it's called Twins of Evil. His twin nieces come to live with him, because their mother died, his sister, and he immediately doesn't like them because they're very good looking and they have their hair down and they're they're both beautiful, played by real twin actresses who did absolutely nothing afterwards, and you can see why. They were even dubbed over by somebody else.
Oh God.
Yeah. So, they weren't very good, but they're not there for that. They're naked a lot and sexual a lot. But one twin falls under the spell of this count who has given himself to the devil, and the devil has made him a vampire. And so now he's after her, and he turns her into and blah, 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 blah. And that's why it's called Twins of Evil. But Peter Cushing can't tell which one is and which one isn't. So, he's going after both of them, and he's going after the guy's a literal count. This count vampire guy, I can't remember his character's name. But, it's just cool, and it's all, Peter Cushing ends up trying to, and his minions, try to stop basically a religious cult led by a vampire, which speaks to me right away. But it's very well done. It's like most British productions back then. It's very authentic, in that time. Everybody's on horseback and everybody's really, dressed properly. The production design is fantastic. Old castles, and they film on, the English countryside. It's very beautiful and ominous at night and dark, foggy woods, but it's a really good movie. It's very creepy. It's bloody. Some nudity thrown in for the drive-in crowd. But yeah, no, it's a great film. It's, in my opinion, it's Peter Cushing's best performance. Unfortunately, in this country, it's under like 90 different titles, but MGM has recently restored it, and its original title is Twins of Evil. Peter Cushing actually says it. The devil has sent me twins of evil. And we're like, there we go, we got a title. It's a great film. It's a great horror film, great gothic classic horror film, 1971. Twins of Evil, directed by a Brit named John Ho, who directed, I don't know, Emily, I'm sure you remember, the Escape and Return to Witch Mountain movies from the 70s. Remember those?
Oh, yes.
For Disney. And he also did The Watcher in the Woods with Bette Davis and that chick from Ice Castles. I don't know, whatever. Lynn Holly Johnson or something. But no, he did something called Legend of Hell House, which wasn't the best. But he stayed pretty much in the horror genre. Started working for Disney, but still did kind of stuff like that. But no, Twins of Evil, 1971. Great film.
I have not seen it, but it's definitely on my to-watch list now.
Do that. Check it out. It's really good.
I mean, you said demonic, cults, and satanic, and I'm like, I'm in.
You're right, yeah. You had me at hello, Anthony. Right, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, your turn. Off to a nice creepy start here.
Okay, so this again is actually a sequel. Wolf Creek 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. The first one was made like in 2005. It was really hyped up when I watched it. I was just kind of like, oh, this is it. Just, it kind of took like almost 40 minutes for just something to happen, kind of.
I agree completely already, by the way.
Yes. So I was a little reluctant to see this one, but it was on Netflix, and I thought, what the hell? This one is so much better. I mean, it pretty much, right out the start, things start happening. Of course, the killer's still Mick, and he's crazy as shit.
Great hat.
Yeah, I love him, and it's very ironic because when I was looking him up, he actually hates horror movies and does not watch them.
Really?
Yet the two big things he was in was Wolf Creek 1 and 2. So that's really funny.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, sir.
Yeah, but it was actually, I did not know this. The story was loosely based off an Australian serial killer named Ivan, who is now serving a life sentence. I had never heard of it before, and definitely got to check it out.
Right, wait a minute. A serial killer we don't know? What?
But the premise of this one is, of course, kind of like the first one, two campers go check out the outback of the Australian desert, and Mick finds him, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's done. But then, what happens next is this man who's minding his own business, just driving along, sees this girl who's, bloodied up and everything, so being the good Samaritan he is, he takes her in to help her. Well, the killer Mick is not having that. That's a no-no. You don't help out.
Right, yeah, hey.
So, yeah, like, you do not help out, you do not get in my way. So, after that, this poor innocent man is now Mick's target, and he cannot do anything to get away.
Right.
Of course, the first one had its kind of comedic moments. This one, even though it's horrific, it still had me laughing so much at certain points, because Mick just don't give a shit.
No, he does not. No.
Yeah, he just goes about his business, and this one was made in 2013, so without spoiling it too much, there is a scene with kangaroos, and all I can say is it reminds me of Grand Theft Auto, and it is the most funniest scene,
nice,
I think, in the whole movie. But oh my god, I would definitely recommend this to people. Even if you didn't like the first one, still give this one a try, because I still thought it was really worth watching.
Cool. I have not seen it, and on your rec, I will do so. Yeah, the first one, it's one of the first horror movies I saw when I moved out here to the East Coast, and my wife and I went, and live-in girlfriend at the time.
Living in sin.
Yeah, right. Love it. Don't need all these damn details. And she had her hair short, and I was wearing a blue. No, but anyway, point is we went to see Wolf Creek, and we were like, meh, it's alright. And I remember I watched it one more time on video, and meh, same thing. So I have not. That's why I haven't seen Wolf Creek 2. So I shall. I'm down. I'll check it out. Sounds all right.
Oh yeah, it's really fun. Definitely fun.
And that's one thing I didn't like about the second one. I don't mind taking too long to get going, but give me interesting characters before you get to where you're going. I didn't care about them, therefore, when they met their demise, as Robert Shaw says in Jaws, I didn't. I mean, not that I didn't care. Please don't kill the women. But he wasn't doing it for me, Mick. But I'll give the second one a try and let you know.
See, it's really funny because you're saying don't kill the women, and here I am as a woman. I was like, just kill them.
Yeah, right. You're like, come on.
They're so stupid. Like, one part, and again, folks, this is the first one, so it was back in 2005.
Yeah.
You can say spoilers. One of them, has him knocked out on the ground. She has weapons around her. I would have, cut his head off.
Yeah,
freaking set fire and buried it. And she's just like, oh, no, he's knocked out. I'll be fine. Let me just run.
Yeah.
No, what are you doing?
Right. Well, as horror fans, I think we have learned by now that you can have a woman or whoever, woman, man, a victim, holding an axe over the killer, but if the killer closes his eyes, they'll put the axe down and walk away.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I forgive you for trying to kill me earlier. Let me just put this down and walk away.
I know, yeah, exactly. But no, I'll give Wolf Creek 2 another, a chance. So, yeah, you sold me. I mean, come on. I won't mention another one in case that's one of your other lost treasures, but you sold me on another one to try part 2 that I didn't like part 1. You just posted on your group there, but I won't bring it up just in case.
Okay.
My turn. From 2011, directed by, and this blows my mind that it went straight to video for 2 reasons. Number one, because I think it's a fantastic and very original film. And number 2, that it is directed by a little guy called Francis Ford Coppola. You guys should all know who I'm talking about, but if you don't, he directed The Godfather 1, 2, and 3, The Conversation, Apocalypse Now, The Outsiders, Rumblefish, need I say more. But in 2011, he did a little indie film called Twixt. Have you seen it, Emily?
I started to watch it,
Yeah.
and then I got it from Netflix, and the DVD started to mess up.
Oh,
so I
oh.
sent back for another one. They never sent it back to
Oh
me.
man,
So.
you gotta get it. It's so good. Val Kilmer plays a horror writer, very much in the Stephen King mold, and he's on a book tour, and he's not really happy about it. He's starting to peter out, and he comes to this little town, and there's an unsolved murder of a young girl, played by, in ghost form, Ellie Fanning, Dakota's sister, and kind of better actress.
I agree.
Thank you. And but anyway, so Bruce Dern plays the sheriff, who asks for Val Kilmer's help because he writes books about serial killers and murderers and creepy things. And so Val Kilmer goes on this quest to find her killer. He wasn't going to do it, but then he starts getting images of her as a ghost. And so he's like, yeah, maybe I should do that. But he gets help from, just out of the blue, and there's really no explanation besides that he probably influenced Kilmer's character as a writer. He gets inspiration and help from the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, cool.
Played by Ben Chaplin, Charlie Chaplin's grandson. And yeah, so Val Kilmer and the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe and Bruce Dern try to solve this unsolved murder. And in the meantime, Val Kilmer's trying to save his marriage and talks to the ghost of the dead girl. And it's filmed, I mean, I'm sure we remember Coppola's Dracula, which it's hit and miss for me, but visually it's just one of the most stunning things I've ever seen. And the same thing with this one. He films it in this off grayish, blackish, darkish, bluish, weirdish color. But he also, for instance, Ellie Fanning's ghost is very, of course, a white and red hue. And it looks very gothic and old. And it's a fantastic movie. It's creepy. It's brutal interesting from the get-go. The payoff is good. Kilmer hasn't been that good in years. Bruce Dern's good. Ben Chaplin, who plays the ghost of Edgar Allan Poe, is good. And it has this creepy mood that starts and doesn't let up. And it's not a frightening horror film. It's more of a horror thriller. But it's very successful. And I gave it 4 stars, and I had it on my 10 best of that year, and not a lot of people even know it exists. But Twixt, 2011, great horror film.
I would definitely have to add that one to my list.
Yeah, I'm wondering what you'd think about it. I'd like to know.
Yeah, I'm not a big Val Kilmer fan.
I used to be.
He has done some good stuff. You know, it's not like he's just horrible.
Right.
But yeah, I do like Fanning. I think she's better than her sister Dakota. So I'll definitely have to check that one out. I love the creepy kind of atmosphere movies with the, especially like low gothic themes and stuff like that. So I'll definitely have that one on my to-watch list.
Do that, yeah, check it out. Like you said, I think I said it, but maybe you were reiterating, I don't remember. But if I didn't, you said it, gothic. It has a great gothic feel to it. It's set in modern times, of course, but yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, take that. Yeah. Take that, Hollywood horror.
Take that and put it in your back pocket.
Exactly. So your next one?
Okay, this one I believe you and I actually spoke about in the horror group, All Hallows Eve.
Yes, indeed, we did.
Yes. Okay.
Thumbs up
now,
for me, but you go.
I'm just going to say right away, I may be biased because I am terrified of clowns, and the wraparound story and the 3 tales all feature this clown. And it's not like no Stephen King It. Like, this clown is scary as shit. I'm not even going to play. But it's pretty much the wraparound story is this babysitter, and she looks like she's in like her early to mid-20s. It's Halloween night. She takes 2 kids out to go trick-or-treating. When they come home, she does the normal thing like you should do. Go through the kids' bags, make sure everything's safe. And they find this old VHS tape. Don't know why it's a VHS tape and not a DVD, but that's a different discussion.
Right.
But, and these people actually have a VHS player. How ironic, right?
Exactly. Of course.
Yeah.
Like in VHS when they break into a house. Oh, box of tapes
like,
and VHS player. Isn't that neat? Yeah.
So it's not labeled or anything. She's like, oh, we're just going to throw it in. The two kids, of course, are, no, we got to watch it. We got to see what's on it. So after a couple of, moments of them going on and on, she's like, okay, we're going to watch a little bit of it, see what it's about. So, of course, like it says, 3 tales. This really creepy looking clowns in all of them. The first tale is pretty much this woman's in an empty bus station. Because, obviously, there's no one else in the world who needs to take a bus, but, one person.
Yeah, of course.
So, she's sitting off to herself, and across from her is the clown sitting there. And she's starting to get a little creeped out, but then he starts, doing little things like making balloon animals, little flowers squirting and things like that, so she starts to laugh. Well, the next thing you know, she wakes up, but she's not in the bus station anymore. So it's kind of like a he drugged her kind of thing, So that's that one. I don't want to go too much into it.
Right.
The second one's just stupid as hell. It's just so stupid.
I won't bother, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lady who, her and her husband just moved into this countryside home. And, they're miles away from the other people. She's loving the peace and quiet. But her husband's not there. And, of course, all these little weird things start happening. And I really can't go too much into it because I'll be giving it away. But how they make the clown kind of tie into it is so stupid. It's probably this. It's like they made this story just like, hey, we're going to throw this clown in here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it does not make sense. The last one's actually my favorite because it's also a little comical. It's a teenage girl driving home from college. Of course, she gets lost, in the woods. Stops at this gas station, and asks for directions and fill up on gas. Well, whenever she gets there, she sees the gas attendant throwing out the clown, yelling at him because apparently the clown had decided to draw with his feces in the bathroom. So,
as we all do. No, wait, am I the only one? Sorry, anyway, go on.
The attendant is not happy,
Right.
So, yeah, he throws out the clown. Well, after that, it just kind of goes, where she can't get rid of the clown. He's just everywhere kind of thing. So that one I like. The wraparound story, the finishing of it, I really would love to talk about it. But if I did, it would give a lot away. But it was very unexpected, and I think even though this movie was an independent film and a low budget, I really felt that they pulled it off. Now, they do have a sequel, which I actually watched last night. I was not having it.
Yeah, that's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, instead of like 3 stories and a wraparound, it was like 5 or 6 little mini stories, so you didn't really care about anybody. It just, the main character on this one who's watching the DVD, because I want to say it's a DVD now, she, you don't feel anything for her. You don't care. So,
right.
Yeah, definitely I would say see the first one. Definitely.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. Good one. Good choice. And one I don't think many people know. That's like a true lost treasure right there.
Yeah, I have never even heard of it until it was on Netflix Instant. And I was like, oh, this cover looks good. The clown looks creepy. Let's watch this.
That's how I found it, yeah.
By it.
And I like, the cover. I'm like, yeah, all right. Nice title, nice cover.
Yeah.
And I totally said, I'll watch it. I'll shut it off probably in 30 minutes. I'm like, that's pretty good. Yeah. All right. Well, good choice again. My next horror film came out in 2012, and it was, gonna be part of the 8 Films to Die For, which this director actually had one in the previous, one of the previous series. But another indie horror company bought it, and then didn't frickin' put it out. They put it out in New York, L.A., L.A. and Los Angeles. Hello. They put it out in New York, L.A., and I think it played here in the D.C. area at one showtime at 11 p.m. in one theater, So I'm sure the director was disappointed. But it's called Stakeland. Have you seen that one?
I actually have, and I really enjoyed it.
Currently streaming on Netflix. That's how I saw it when it finally hit. It went right to streaming. I'm like, uh-oh. But, it's
good.
basically simple story. It's like The Walking Dead with vampires. survivors of a vampire apocalypse are walking around trying to survive from vampires. And it's fantastic. It's very well done. The lead character, it's directed by a guy named Jim Mickle. He just had a movie out. It's not a horror film. It's called Cold in July. I don't know if you saw it, Emily, but it
No, I haven't seen that one.
Stars Michael C. Hall of Dexter fame and Sam Shepard and, of all people, Don Johnson. And it was on my best of the year list of 2014. It's a 80s throwback thriller. It's dark. It's twisted. It's kind of creepy, but not in a horror movie way. And Anthony Michael Hall. Hello, Michael.
I was about to say, wait a minute.
And then he shows up wanting the panties of some sophomore.
Yeah.
Michael C. Hall gives his best performance ever, I think, even over Dexter maybe. But it's a great little film. Check that out. And that could technically be another Lost Treasure because that didn't have an audience. But Stakeland, Jim Mickle directed it, and it's a really good film. It's exciting, it's creepy, it's dark. Danielle Harris from the Halloween series and many other low-budget horror films is in it. And it's, like I said, if you like The Walking Dead, you'll probably like this one. He's kind of a tough guy. He's the Daryl of the group, only he's the leader. He's the, tough, knows how to get them all and never makes a mistake and leader. And, he just picks up different stragglers on the way, and they try to survive this vampire apocalypse. And the one thing I like about this, and movies like 30 Days of Night, the vampires are gruesome, and they're monsters. They're not, European guys walking around, hello!
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, they're real monsters, and I liked it. And it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's like a crisp 98 minutes. And there's never a dull moment. I think that was also on my 10 best list of 2012. Stakeland, check it out. It's a great, great horror film.
Yeah, really good. And it's funny because with the 8 films to die for, I find a lot of them are hit or miss.
Yeah. As the series went on, mostly miss.
Yeah, like the first series that came out, I actually liked a lot of them.
I liked every one but like 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think Dark Ride it was called, or something like that.
Love that one.
That was the only one that I didn't care for. All of those I liked.
I loved it because it was more of a Funhouse remake. But
yeah, I wasn't a big Funhouse person, so I think that's why I just kind of, I know I deserve to be punished over that.
Yeah. All right, no, it's okay.
But no, I wanted to point out, like you said, 30 Days of Night. How they did the vampires, I loved it. They were creepy.
Yeah.
They, like you said, they were real vampires. It wasn't like, hey, I'm over here in my pretty little coat and all this kind of stuff. They were vicious, and that's how I want my vampires to be.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what I like in John Carpenter's Vampires, his last great film. They, the lead vampire had long hair, and James Woods even calls him a pole-smoking European fashion victim, which is funny. But but he's still gruesome, and they all crawl out of the dirt, and that's how I like my vampires.
Yeah, very, very creepy.
Yeah, I still like Dracula, but I still like my vampires as monsters.
Yeah.
All right, next, your turn.
Okay. This one, I believe, is actually still on Netflix to watch. It's from 2008. And it's called Pontypool.
Yay! I love that movie. Go ahead,
yes!
though.
It really is a hidden treasure. So yeah, like I said, 2008, so I can spoil stuff and have fun with
it. Oh,
yeah. It's this little town, I think they're in Canada, is that right?
Are they Canada, or are they, I thought they were across the pond there.
Or they might, somewhere where it snows really, really bad.
Yeah, right.
It's horrible.
Let's put it this way. It snows in Pontypool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like feet and feet worth of snow. But they have this, little radio station in the basement of some building, and the main one, he could kind of be an asshole, but at the same time, he just has that personality, that, I don't even know how to explain it, but
I'm sorry, real quick. I'm sorry, not to interrupt you. I'm looking it up, but I do believe Pontypool is across the pond. But anyway, go on.
Oh, look at that.
I haven't found it yet, but I'm guessing. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, so They in this basement. They kind of, in a sense, cut off from everyone else. In this basement, snowing outside, feet and feet with the snow, and they start to get these calls with people from the town saying, "Hey, this let's say a drugstore. This drugstore is broken into, and people are just going crazy, and the cops are here, and it's like a mosh pit. It's like a herd of animal. I don't know what's going on."
Yeah.
And then they start, reporting more and more sinister stuff.
Right.
And it just so happens one of the girls, I would say like what, late teens, mid 20s, the girl who gets infected first.
Yeah, maybe early 20. Yeah, right around there.
She all of a sudden starts speaking the same sentence over and over and over again. And I went look it up, and it's funny because the director, this is what he said: the victims are called conversationalists. The first stage is you may begin to repeat one word over and over and over again. Then the second stage, your words become scrambled, and you rant and rant and rant to try to express yourself properly.
Right.
And then by the third stage, you become so distraught that you feel the only way out of the situation is to pretty much try to chew your way out of the mouth of another person.
Right.
Which I think is just a fun play on words. I mean, come on. But
right, yeah.
Yeah, like chew your way out of somebody's mouth. It's just, I love how it slowly builds up. And again, I like the isolation.
Yeah.
This is a very isolated place, and it's one of those things where you're in a basement. So if these people come down, you're trapped. But at the same time, do you want to try to leave this building?
Right.
And with your safety. I really liked it. I liked that it was a little bit different take on being infected and having this virus. So I did like that. I also read that the director of the movie is planning 2 sequels, but I haven't really heard anything about that.
Nice. I would definitely watch those, especially if he's involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love it.
He's got a new one out actually called Hellions, which I just saw the preview for, and it just hit on demand, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I've never heard of that one. I would want to see that one.
Yeah, it sounds good. Check out the preview for Hellions. It looks really good. Looks really interesting. No, Pontypool's great, and the great Stephen McCaddy plays the DJ. And it's kind of, would you not agree? It's kind of like Adrian Barbeau in The Fog.
Yes.
It's kind of reporting everything, kind of guiding the town through everything.
Yes.
And big props, Emily. I was wrong, you were right. It is in Ontario, Canada. Pontypool.
I didn't know if it was actually Canada or like on the border, because they mentioned some stuff about Canada and then they kind of backtracked. So I was like, it could be on the border. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Good call.
2 points for me.
Yay! Meanwhile, I get a punch on my horror card earlier. I can't remember what I screwed up on, but it happened on this podcast. Yeah. No, Pontypool. That's a really good one. I actually just recently put that back on my Netflix instant to watch it again.
It's just so fun.
Yeah. By the way, this doesn't need to be said, but I pulled out everything to watch for Halloween, and by my count, I still have at least 18 things to go. There's no way I'm gonna, as I always do, my Halloween horror watching will go deep into November. But I watch horror all the time, like we've said. We just double up at this time of the year. But
exactly.
And then I get backed up. It's like getting backed up at work, Next Monday, I gotta go. I gotta watch the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets today.
I gotta get this done.
Right? Yes. They're not gonna watch themselves. But no, that's a good one. Pontypool, great one. I'm glad you brought that up. By the way, I'm looking at the poster here online. The tagline is "Shut up or die." That's perfect for that movie.
I love that. It goes so good.
Yeah. My next one is by somebody that I thought was going to be, and still probably can be, the next John Carpenter. Somebody he did a horror film. He did a hodgepodge of different genres in one movie, and he did a couple horror films. But Neil Marshall is a Brit, and Dog Soldiers from 2002. Did you ever see that?
That one I have not seen.
That's great. It's Kevin McKidd, most famously the blonde guy who died of AIDS in Trainspotting. Died of AIDS in the movie, of course. The blonde friend that died of AIDS in Trainspotting. He's part of this military unit in Britain who are doing some exercises out on in the military exercises out in the deep dark woods, and they come across werewolves. That's it. It's as simple as that. But there's literally, I mean, they run into a few people that they need to help, but other than that, yeah, it's just trying to survive in the woods and they only have, they're on maneuvers, so they only have, limited ammo, and it's a fantastic movie. It's his first film, and it's terrifying. The werewolves are kind of a mixture of old-fashioned werewolves mixed with the modern, like the howling type of werewolf where you're standing on two hind legs but you're still a wolf, and they're hardcore, and it's bloody, and it's scary, and it's all at night, and it's frightening, and it's a damn good movie, and it put that guy on the map. He also went on to do another. It could kind of be a lost treasure. Horror fans know it, but it didn't do well. The Descent. Are you a fan?
That one, it was one that was really hyped up.
Oh no!
And so I wasn't really excited about it. No. But I will say this: I'm very claustrophobic, and that movie really set me. Yeah, it really set me in the mood for it. I was like, oh god, like my heart would start pounding, like I was actually in the movie, just trapped. I'm like, oh god, I gotta get out, get out.
Exactly.
So I liked it for that part.
And I just need to give a shout out on this, on the air here. That's one of my favorite days. My favorite pre-having a little boy days. My wife and I went to a horror convention together, and we saw George Romero, and we saw, just tons of people, starting with the tops, George Romero. We met Tom Atkins, talked to him, a bunch of people. It was a great convention. Then we went to see Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young on the reunion tour, and that was an amazing concert. And then we went straight from there to go see The Descent at midnight in downtown D.C. It was a downtown theater, and it was an almost predominantly black crowd, and it was just a blast watching that movie. It started at like 12:05, and yeah, it was great. It was a great day all around. But yeah, but no, he did The Descent, and he did Did you ever see Doomsday? It was kind of a mixture of Escape from New York and Mad Max and Knights all thrown in together.
I think it's on my to-watch list, or maybe on my in my queue for Netflix. It sounds really familiar.
It's a genre geek's dream, man. I'm telling you. And based on just those movies, I said this guy's gonna be he's the new John Carpenter for our age, for this age. And then he hasn't done another theatrical release. He did a couple episodes of Hannibal. He's done a couple episodes of other horror and sci-fi themed things, but on TV. But he hasn't. I don't know. He probably has a couple of films in the works. I haven't looked him up lately, but I hope he comes back But anyway, Dog Soldiers. It's just a great movie, and it was his first, and it to me announced a new voice in horror, and he was for a bit. But yeah, Dog Soldiers, an excellent movie. Check that out,
definitely
folks.
Have to check that one out.
Yeah, all right. Oh my God, are we down to our last ones already?
Yeah, and I'm so about to get a punch in my horror card.
Uh-oh. Well, real quick, I just want to tell you, Emily, I believe I told you off air here, yeah, these lost treasures go fast, and they do.
Yeah, they really do.
We're to the end already.
I'm hoping people will really pay attention to this one. The reason I would say I'm going to get a punch in my horror card is because I haven't watched it in years. Mm-hmm. I was supposed to watch it for this podcast, and I could not find it, which really got me mad. But it is The Exorcist 3.
Oh, Emily. Punch on your horror card?
Yeah.
Emily, you should get a badge. That is a great movie, but go ahead, this is yours.
It's kind of like the Amityville series, the first one was great, and then the second one was just so horribly bad.
Oh my
God. People, horrible. Like, I think Linda Blair just stood there or sat the whole freaking movie.
Don't forget about the big, really fake-looking Pazuzu, the locust in your face, James Earl Jones's voice. Oh my God.
So, like I said, people, was like, okay, that one sucked, I'm not gonna see part 3. And part 3 really had the creep factor of the first one.
Yeah.
like I said, I don't remember too much about it, which sucks because I haven't watched it forever. But there were some creepy scenes. They have one where this old lady is pretty much like crawling on the ceiling.
That's creepy, yeah.
Yes, I'm not gonna lie. When I was a teenager and I saw that scene, I was a little creeped out to be in bed looking at the ceiling. I think I slept on my stomach for like 2 or 3 nights. I was just terrified.
I was 19 when that
and-
came out, and the movie scared the shit out of me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like holy crap. Because the first Exorcist never scared me.
What?
It didn't bother me at all. Yeah, it did not bother me.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not like I was born and raised Catholic, but I don't follow their religion, so I don't know if that has something to do with it.
Me neither.
You know,
Didn't scare me either. Go ahead. Terrifies the shit out of me. I'm 46. I won't watch it alone. Anyway, go on though.
But one of my favorite horror scenes from any horror movie I've ever seen.
Can I guess?
You may know where I'm going with this.
Just for fun, can I guess? Did we already talk about this on the group?
I don't think so.
Can I just guess? The person in white behind the nurse with the big hedge clippers. No?
Yes. Oh my god, that part still scares the crap out of me.
Me too. I got shivers just saying it because now I can see it.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's frightening.
It's so unexpected.
You're right.
It's not a jump scare though.
No, not at all.
And it's just the music when it picks up and.
It's got that little boop.
Yeah, and like what creeps me out is he's so close to her. Like he's like far away. He's like literally right behind her.
And they start that scene. The scene goes on forever. It's a movie hospital, so she's the only worker on that floor. Yeah, in movie hospitals they have 3 people, but she's it's the middle of the night. She's going down the hallway. She's checking this, checking that, doing this, doing that, and it goes on, and you know something's coming, and then you're starting to give up. You're like, well, maybe she's gonna go into a room, and then all of a sudden, this shrouded, weird, mummy-looking, very clean though, figure with giant hedging shears or whatever you call them. Oh my God, it's terrifying. Thank you for picking this movie.
Like you said, the scene goes on and on and on, so you just give up.
Yeah.
Like when it first starts, I'm like, okay, there's going to be somebody in this room. Oh, nope, she goes to another room. Mm-hmm. Okay, somebody's going to be in the bed that shouldn't be. Nope, goes into another room. Okay, somebody's going to, like, jump out from under the bed. Nope.
Nope.
Then I'm like, okay, like, screw this, and all of a sudden, bam, it hits you, and you're like, what the hell?
And it's like when she starts walking the other way, and you're like, well, they're going to cut to down the other hallway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's already out of the frame. She's gone. You just see like the edge of her for a second. Yeah.
God, I'm like you. I got the shivers just.
I know, right? It's terrible. It's a terrifying. It's one. I will go on record as saying, it's one of the probably top 20 chill-inducing moments in horror film history.
I totally agree.
If not top 10. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite horror scenes out of any horror movie I've watched.
It's terrifying.
It just terrifies me. Oh God.
And it's funny, I almost picked this for this podcast. Yeah. I'm so glad you did. It's such a fantastic. It's written and directed by William Peter Blatty, who wrote the screenplay and novel, the original Exorcist. It's terrifying, and there's terrifying the things they do with sound in that movie, like when George C. Scott goes to meet the Catholic bishop to talk, and I don't know why, but they've turned out every light in the church, and so you hear the growling and the demons there, and you see the weird painted faces on the defiled statues of Christ, and it's a horrifying film. In many ways, it's not a better film than The Exorcist by any means, but it's in many ways it's a scarier film than The Exorcist, I think.
Yeah, it just has that wonderful atmosphere.
Oh my God!
And you don't really need any jump scares or anything because the atmosphere is just so creepy itself.
Yeah, and I love the lady who, you already mentioned it, walks on the ceiling. When he first meets her, are you here to fix my radio? Just weird, creepy stuff like that. And yeah, I just love that movie. I saw that with a big crowd, and when it came out, and then the movie ended up bombing and didn't do well, and and critics were mostly negative. They didn't hate it, but I remember like, it's one of the best horror movies I've seen in years. What's wrong with everybody? Yeah. And George C. Scott, I remember he was interviewed for the great. I'm sure you've seen The Changeling with George C. Scott.
Yes.
Yeah. We might have talked about that on one of our podcasts. I don't know, but he was asked with The Changeling, why, with your career, what made you want to do a little horror film? And he said, because I read the script and it scared me to death. And I remember he was in an interview for The Exorcist and The Exorcist 3, and they said, so why did you choose it? He said, because I had previously said in an interview that the reason I did The Changeling is because it scared me to death. He said, I read this script and it scared me to my soul. He said I had to do it.
God.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a great pick. It's my favorite pick of all your stuff on this one. I'm
so happy.
Yeah, it's such a great film. It's absolutely. I'm looking at it now. I'm going to pull it out and watch it this evening after my son goes to bed, of course.
Yeah.
Here, 7-year-old, watch this. Yeah.
Watch this.
Yeah. See. Yeah. All of a sudden, he's taken away from me. No, it's a fantastic movie. Sadly ignored. It gets a little batshit at the end with the coming out of the floor and all that business.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the dead priest from the original makes a return. Yeah, he does. Jason Miller's back. Father Karras, yeah, he's back. And Brad Dourif. I think we mentioned his great performance in Sleepwalkers with his one scene where he's actually crying.
Yeah.
Talking about Vietnam. But here he's equally as good. Remember? Because he's the demon, basically.
Yeah, he was really, really good.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's such a great. I'm so happy you chose that one. I'm so happy. I liked all your picks, but that's my favorite.
I thought I was going to get a lot of crap for it.
No.
I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah. No, but I can understand going in like, okay, I'm going to do The Exorcist 3. I don't know what people are going to say. Yeah. Here's the thing I say about Exorcist 3. It's Exorcist 2. And that's all that exists.
Just pretend the second one don't exist, but this one in the place,
yeah.
we're good.
That's the only one that exists, exactly. And now here, going back to what I said earlier about being a completist on certain things, I own The Exorcist 1 and 3. I will never own Part 2, not even to have my little set. I don't care that the numbers are broken up on that one. I'm not that OCD crazy.
That's one that I don't have the second one either. I refuse to even spend a penny on it.
There's no reason to have that in my home or on my block or anything. Ugh, it's stupid. It's not even. Oh my God, that's a whole nother podcast. But it's just, how some you're like, you put it on, watch this, watch how funny this is. It's not even. It's just bad. And what makes it so bad and so horrible is of course, it's a sequel to, in my opinion anyway, the greatest, or in a lot of people's, one of the greatest horror films ever made. And it was directed by a great director, John Boorman, who did Excalibur and a lot of great British films, starring Richard Burton, who I'm not a giant fan of, but most people are, James Earl Jones, and Louise Fletcher, who had just come off an Oscar for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Linda Blair's back, and it's just, and the sets look ridiculous. It looks like a high school play. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's
so
not just like
dumb.
One thing that's bad. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's everything.
Sets, everything.
You can't say any, like, with some bad movies you can say, but you know what was good? That little blah. No, there's nothing, like zero stars.
Nothing redeemable.
Not a millisecond is good in Exorcist 2. But no, thank you so much for bringing up Exorcist 3. I love that movie so much, and every time somebody's perusing my movies, Exorcist 3, they made a third one? You know what I mean? I'm like, hell yeah, they did. Watch it, god damn it.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you not know about it? Oh, the second one sucked. I'm like, damn you, second movie.
I know, right? Because turned most people off to the third one. But yeah, and he wrote it. The subtitle is Legion, and he wrote it based on his book called Legion, which was a direct sequel to The Exorcist. So, yeah, man, fantastic. God bless you. Well, since we're talking about demonic possession, God bless you for picking that one. Yeah, God's like, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Like, I'm busy.
Does God look like Alanis Morissette or George Burns? Next week on the podcast. Both have played God, and I'd like to know people's opinions. Anyway. Anyway, alright, I'm sad. We're to the end here. Alright, my last one. I wonder, I hope you've seen this, Emily. Excision from 2012. Starring Ariel Winter, the little girl. She was not starring it, but the little girl, she's not little anymore, but from Modern Family, who plays the youngest daughter. And starring the great Tracy Lords, former porn star Tracy Lords. And just, by the way, a little wide scream trivia. On our last horror Lost Treasures that I did with Tiffany, I mentioned David Cronenberg, one of his early films called Rabid, which I'm a big fan of, starring former porn star Marilyn Chambers. So we can take two things away from this. Number one, Anthony's following all these former porn stars. Or, number two, if you're going to quit porn, go to horror, because you're all doing a great job when you do it.
Yeah, I mean, right.
But no, Excision, 2012, a very twisted teenager girl. She wants to be in the medical field, surgeon, and so she experiments in very weird and twisted ways that get more twisted and more twisted and more violent and more real. And her domineering mother, played by Tracy Lords, and I mean this wholeheartedly, an Oscar nomination-worthy performance. She's wonderful, Tracy Lords. Shout out to Tracy Lords if you're listening. But she's wonderful as this domineering mother, and she's trying to connect with her weird teenager, and her teenager is trying to please her domineering mother at the same time. And they're both on the right track, but two trains on the wrong, they're passing each other. Wait, no, we're doing it wrong. And yeah, it gets really violent, really dark. The teen girl has very twisted, dark fantasies about I'll leave it at that. Twisted, dark fantasies. You guys watch it. But it gets bloody, and it's a few years old, so I won't go full spoiler, but I will say that Ariel Winter from Modern Family plays her little sister, and who unfortunately says the phrase, this isn't a direct quote, but lets her know that, hey, I'll help you with your studies. Don't say that! So anyway, you can take it, let your mind wander from there. But it's a really well-crafted, well-thought-out, extremely well-written and acted little horror film that just kind of came and went, and didn't get another no release, just went straight to video. As we've spoken of many times, horror is the bastard stepchild of Hollywood.
Yes.
And unless you're made by a big studio or you're a remake. And yeah, it's so good. Like, I had that as well on my 10 best of 2012. And it's very interesting. It's fascinating. Great performances all around. Extremely creepy. And about the halfway point, little past, the blood starts to flowing. And yeah, it's very good. I give it 4 stars. It's an excellent film. Anybody who likes good horror. Here's the weird thing. I'll call this a character study horror film. It's fascinating. I loved it. I highly recommend Excision from 2012.
That's one that, again, is on my to-watch list.
Yeah.
Because, as a horror fan, I probably have about 500 movies on
Oh, me too.
my never-ending watch list. People are like, how can you still have movies you never seen? I'm like, because there are so many things you don't know about. Like, I dig up stuff.
Yeah.
Look at this whole podcast. It's, hidden treasures.
Yeah.
I was like, there is just so much out there that, you don't know about, and I'll find out because I dig stuff up on the internet. I read horror magazines. There's so many things to watch. It's amazing.
No, I agree with you, and I'm sorry, folks. I was checking a text. That's very unprofessional. But I was listening, and I agree with you. Yeah, there's so many, and just when you think, and you're watching something, sometimes I'm sure you get this way. I get on a roll. Like, I don't have an example, but I'm just pulling this out of the air. Tonight I'm gonna watch a zombie film. And then I end up watching 2 or 3, and then I go searching, for underrated zombie movies, or
Yeah.
the fringe zombie movies, and I'll try to find, and it'll just lead you on these great expeditions, and you'll discover, and this is how you discover gems that we talk about on these podcasts, and it's fantastic. Or the one thing I love, the only thing I love about modern horror remakes, they all suck. But you know what it does? It gets them to release the classics that they're remaking, like give them big special editions on DVD and Blu-ray, and maybe the younger generation. Sucks that I'm even able to say that phrase now, but the younger generation will discover them. That's the only thing I like about them remaking all these classics.
Yeah, I have a cousin who's 10 years younger than me. Because I'm like 12.
Of course,
so,
yes. Well, I'm only 18, so don't worry about it.
He just made 19, and he's a horror fan just like me. And when the remake comes out, he'll call me, "Hey, this is a remake. What's the original like?" And I love it because I'm always like, "Just watch the original."
Yeah, exactly.
Just watch the original and then go see the remake. That way you won't be disappointed.
I'm glad you said that, and that is my mantra for everyone. That should be, or should I say that should be everyone's mantra. For any movie, horror or whatever, if there's a remake, watch the original first if you haven't seen it.
Yes.
And then you know what? Hey, you may still like the remake, but at least you've seen the original as well. So
exactly.
It'll be fun. So yeah. Man, those are some good choices you did. I like it.
I know. I'm so excited. We had some really good ones.
Exactly. And guess what, folks? Emily will do many more Lost Treasures with us. I'm sure we should probably make them all horror, right? Or horror related.
Of course.
Yeah. Emily's my horror doppelganger. But yeah, and of course Emily will be on another horror podcast that is going to be announced very soon. And we're going to talk lots of horror and horror-related things, some of them real life. So stay tuned for that. We'll be making an announcement before Halloween, by the way. We'll make that announcement. And Emily will be back. We're going to do a special Halloween episode where we are going to discuss, for better or worse, the entire Halloween movie franchise. And you know what?
That's where we're gonna lose fans.
We're gonna gain fans and lose fans. Yeah. I tell you what. When we finish talking about part 3, I'm gonna run out. I'll get everybody lunch, and you guys just keep going. I'll jump back in somewhere when I hear the words Rob Zombie. I'll be, here you go. Here's your Whoppers, and we hit zombie. All right, perfect. So anyway. But no, that, you know what, good or bad, that'll be a fun one, and we're gonna.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we're gonna have that for you on Halloween. I will put that up on Halloween, and of course you'll be listening to this before Halloween. And did you have any other thing to say about any other last-minute lost treasures? Sometimes I think of them right as we're signing off.
I guess I would tell horror fans, kind of like you said, if you watch, for example, 2 or 3 zombie movies and then you go look it up, definitely take the time to search the internet. Just hey, underrated horror movies. Yeah. And yes, there's gonna be some lists where it's like the same 10 or 15 movies and you've already seen them, but even going, even just going horror groups and such, and hey, what's some hidden gems you like?
Right.
It's always fun to find these hidden ones, or talk to friends about them, and hey, okay, I'm gonna try that one.
Yeah.
It's just always fun. It's like a little present, it's Christmas time, just for horror stuff.
Exactly. And what's even fun on that same level is you pick like 4, you put them on your queue, and you watch all 4, and 3 suck, and you're like, enough with this, and then you watch the 4th one. That was amazing. I love that one, and it makes it all the more better. Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned going to horror groups and, ask around and post and ask that question. I have a cool horror group that they could go to. I haven't, just off the top of my head, it's called Let's Watch Horror Movies. Go to that Facebook group and post the question, and you'll get answers from at least 4 people. So
of course.
It's all right. And I can tell you,
awesome people, I just have to say.
They are, yes, so far, yes. One of them and I haven't been getting along, if you've been following that, but it's a fun movie discussion argument. It's not real. We don't know each other. But anyway, okay, well, thank you, Emily, for returning. And of course, you'll be returning again on this podcast. And you will be part of another podcast that we will name later.
So exciting!
Okay. Thank you very much, folks, for listening. Thank you, Emily, for being here. All of you, Halloween is almost upon us. Try to get 1, 2, or 7 of these that we've mentioned watched before then. And if not, guess what, folks? Horror continues even though Halloween is over. Horror is never done in my house. It goes all year round. I'm in every. A lot of people are Christmas in July. I'm Halloween in every day. It never stops. Yep. Yeah, I'm horror meister, if I were in Germany. But all right. So anyway, watch your horror. Stay scared. Watch spooky movies. It's that time. Get ready for our big Halloween-a-thon coming on Halloween night, and you're gonna get a couple more, I think, before Halloween, and including this one. And this is Tony. I'm signing out. And again, no quip. I'm slow on the quips these days. I usually end with a stupid quip, and I have nothing. I got nothing, as the kids like to say. So anyway, what's that?
Said nothing.
Nothing, man. Not a thing. So, all right, signing off. Hope you enjoyed this Lost Treasures episode. Hope it led you to some good films. And enjoy when you watch them. I'm Anthony signing out. Goodbye, Emily. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Goodbye, folks.